All right, it's national championship time. Alabama, Ohio State. Justin Fields coming off the best game of his career in the biggest game of his career. He's up against Alabama. No description needed for Alabama. There's no need to even hype this game up. You already know what it is. Alabama, Ohio State, let's make a pick. All right, so this line opened up Alabama -7. Bets and money came in initially on the Tide. Most books had this line up to 7.5 almost immediately. Now, as we progressed through the week, the line kept moving towards Ohio State, but as it did, bets and money started heading the other way back towards the Buckeyes. It was moving, but I never saw it get higher than 9 or 9.5. Now, here we are on Monday, it's game day. Most books have this at 8.5 or 9 right now. And bets are about dead even, money still favoring Alabama. But here's why it's important to track it. Because if you just looked right now, you'd be like, oh, okay, some sharp money in on the Crimson Tide. But a majority of that Alabama money came in early and got Alabama -7. When we're talking about 8.5 or 9, the line we're at now, most of the money's on Ohio State. So it's important, that's why it's important to track it like I do. Because it not only does it show you where the money is, but when it came in, what number it got in at. So how do we match these two teams up on the field? Well, now that we saw the bowl games, we're able to do a better job of matching these teams up. I went perfect, 5-0 in conference championships, all five power conferences I hit on. Then I went 4-6 in bowl games, and it was ugly. The reason being, we had no reference to match up a team from the Big Ten against a team from like the Big 12 or the ACC. There was no interconference play this year because of COVID. So during the year, we were like, I could use common opponents. Like, how did Ohio State do against Indiana? How did Wisconsin do against Indiana? You're able to make reads that way. During the bowl games, we had nothing to go by. So what did we discover from these bowl games? Well, the Big Ten is a lot better than we thought. Auburn got wrecked by Northwestern. Wisconsin came back from down pretty big to beat Wake Forest. And Wisconsin was one of the worst teams, not one of the worst, but Wisconsin wasn't that good in the Big Ten this year. We all saw what Ohio State did to Clemson last week. So conclusion, the Big Ten is a pretty good conference this year. And Ohio State tap danced through the Big Ten this season. Now, as far as the SEC, now the SEC is obviously stacked, but look what happened to Auburn, Georgia, Florida. None of them covered in their bowl games. Now, Florida had a bunch of opt-outs and injuries, so maybe leave Florida off that list, but Auburn got wrecked. Georgia barely beat Cincinnati. So is it possible that the SEC maybe isn't as good as we think this year? Maybe not as good as it usually is? Is that possible? Final thought, if Ohio State comes out tonight like they came out last week and shuts down Najee Harris and the Alabama running game the way they shut down Clemson and Travis Etienne in their running game, they're going to cover this spread easily. So what's the pick? I feel like I have to play the Buckeyes here, getting all those points. If we're going to see a shootout, then I want 8.5 points in my pocket. Justin Fields looked like an absolute god last week against Clemson. Do it again for me, Fields. Give me some more of that magic. Give me Ohio State, lock it in. If anything changes, if there's any last-minute injuries, breaking news, last-minute opt-outs, I will tweet it and put it on my Instagram story. So if you're going to follow me on this pick, make sure you check those two platforms out to see that nothing has changed. Ohio State plus 8.5. Let's go, Fields.